You listened to Dashu's report, nodding as you went along. Without realizing it, the two of you had reached the riverbank. You picked up a stone and skillfully skipped it across the water. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! The stone bounced several times before you were lost in thought. By the way, after the Cha tribe arrived, did they start fishing? This river looks pretty wide. There should be plenty of fish, right? Dashu immediately responded. They tried a few times, but they didn't catch much. I told them to stop for now, and they're working on the fields with everyone else. The Cha tribe leader said the river is too deep, and they can't stand in the water to spear fish. Our own people haven't had any luck with fish baskets and small nets either. The river is too wide, and the fish don't come close to the bank, and we can't swim to the middle of the river. I was thinking maybe we could build some boats this year. That would make fishing a lot easier. That's a problem. It's not just the boats. Our nets aren't good enough either. You rubbed your chin. Don't worry about this for now. I'll take care of it later. There's a lumber mill in Hanyang City, right? Sawing planks is a piece of cake. Next time I'll have someone send the parts over, and we can assemble them right here. That's all we can do for now. The rest will have to wait until the lumber mill here is built. You suddenly remembered something. By the way, how's the timber supply here? Have you assigned people to cut down trees? Dashu nodded. Yes, I've arranged for logging, but there aren't many people. I've told them to saw down the good timber. The branches are brought back to dry and used as firewood, and the logs are piled up on the mountain, sheltered from the rain to dry. Our oxen and horses are all busy plowing the fields right now, so we don't have time to haul the logs back. Okay, let's leave it at that for now. You thought for a moment, then continued. Once the plowing is done, get those logs transported back down as soon as possible. It's damp in the mountains, and there's a lot of rain in the summer. Don't leave them there too long, or they'll get moldy. Also, stock up on firewood. We'll need a lot of it this year. Let's not bother with individual cooking fires for now. Everyone will eat from the communal pot. It'll save fuel. Things will get better in a while. Dashu replied earnestly. I know. I've had the people cut down a lot of the shrubs and small trees inside the city walls, and we've stored them. That alone should be enough to last us for a while. Good. That's settled then. I'm going to go into the city and grab a bite to eat. See what the food is like these days, haha. You joked. Chief, would you like me to have someone prepare a couple of special dishes for you? Dashu suggested. No need. Save the firewood. Just add some chili peppers to my meal. The two of you walked towards the city, chatting. In the northwest corner of the city was a huge sheep pen, where thousands of well-fed antelopes were dozing. On the southwest side was a large area covered with thatched sheds. Underneath the sheds were straw mats, where some people were sitting and eating. In the center of the city there was also a large thatched shed. Inside, several simple stoves made of mud had been built, and in front of them, a long queue of people waited to get their food. You weren't in a hurry, so you told Dashu to go and prepare the food, while you wandered around the area with the sheds, observing the people who were eating. Under a low thatched shed, several children sat on straw mats, gobbling down their dinner. They weren't very good at using chopsticks yet, and couldn't pick up the food properly, so they leaned over their bowls and shoveled the food into their mouths. When they looked up, their faces were covered in rice grains. You walked over to them, and the children immediately shielded their bowls, as if they were afraid you would steal their food. Hey, why are you hiding? I'm not going to steal your food. What's wrong? Do people usually steal your food? You squatted down and looked at them with a smile. The children's mouths were full of rice, and they shook their heads vigorously. You were taken aback for a moment and asked, Can you understand what I'm saying? Do you speak Hanyu? The children nodded in unison again. One of them looked at you for a while, swallowed the food in his mouth, and said, I've seen you before. You're the one who was riding the big monster earlier. What were you riding? A cow? I asked my mother. But she doesn't know either. Ha 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 ha, that's not a cow. It's called an elephant. It eats grass, too. You looked at these innocent children and were amused. Then why are you the only one riding an elephant? Are you the chief of this tribe? Yes. How did you know? My mother told me. She said that the person riding the big monster and wearing clothes was the chief of this tribe. Oh? So you're not from our tribe? You asked with a smile. No, my mother said there's no food in the mountains, so we have to come here and herd sheep for you to get food. How come you have so many sheep? More than the people in our tribe. I can't even count them all. Ha ha. So do you like our tribe? Do you want to become a member of our tribe? Oh? Yes, I do. The food your tribe makes is delicious. I want to eat it every day. But I have to stay with my mother, so I can't join your tribe. Oh? Does your mother want to join our tribe? You continued to tease the child. I don't. My mother is coming. You can ask her yourself. Mom, their chief is here! The child, holding his bowl, shouted at a woman who was walking towards them from a distance. The woman was probably in her early 20s. She was wearing animal skins to cover her essential parts and carrying a large bowl. When she heard her child shout and saw a strange young man with a golden crown and linen clothes, she was stunned for a moment. She quickly jogged over, looking at you, at a loss for what to do. Chief, what do you want from me? The woman stammered. Oh, I didn't come to see you. I was just wandering around looking at these children. How are things? Can you eat? You're still in our Han tribe? Is the work too tiring? You stood up and asked. Yes, we can eat our fill. Every day after I get their food, there's some left over. I can't even finish it myself. And I can save some for the child, the woman said nervously. Good, that's good. I just asked your child if he wanted to join our Han tribe, and he said he wanted to stay with you. What do you think of our Han tribe? Do you want to stay? You asked directly. Yes, of course I want to. The Han tribe has many people and there's no shortage of food and there are so many good things. These past few days, my man has been working with them by the river, turning over the soil. He said they're going to plant rice so that more rice will grow. Rice is delicious and it's filling. But unfortunately, it doesn't grow in our mountains, the woman said in one breath. I heard our chief say that we're going to work here until autumn. If the rice really grows in the fields by then, he'll let us stay here. So that's it. You figured out what these people are thinking. Overall, they are willing to join the Han tribe, but they haven't farmed before, so they're not sure. They want to see it with their own eyes first. You can understand that, or rather you don't care. Once they get used to life in the Han tribe, would they want to go back to their hard lives? Humph, they probably wouldn't want to themselves. Having understood the thoughts of these temporary workers, you felt relieved. You went to find Dashu to eat together. The people who had been working hard all day also started to eat and rest, enjoying the hard-earned food. The next day, you continued to supervise the work in the new city, watching the people work and even personally instructing those who weren't doing well. Just as the first batch of rice seeds were sown, a flying eagle letter suddenly arrived from Hanyang City, urgently summoning you back. The letter was written by Shuwu, saying that Yufu's trading caravan had returned and was currently stationed, where the Li tribe used to live, awaiting your instructions. You immediately sent a reply, instructing Shuwu to send people to receive the caravan's delivery, and to send the animal skins and wool back to Hanyang City to start mass production of woolly cloth. Also, send a team of people with Yufu and the caravan, along with the cattle and horses they had traded, to the new city area. There was enough pasture here to support these big guys, and the construction of the new city also required a lot of labor, all of which had been agreed upon in previous letters with Yufu. When the letter reached Shuwu, knowing that you refused to return, he could only comply. Several cartloads of goods were pulled back to Hanyang City, and the warriors who had been to the new city before rode their horses, leading Yufu and the others all the way east. A team of people, lightly equipped and riding horses, traveled very fast and arrived at the new city in one day. 280 cattle, 450 horses, a total of over 700 livestock, entered the new city in a grand procession, startling the people who had recently joined the Han tribe and the temporary workers who had come to work. But they were more shocked and excited. Never mind how much work these livestock could do. Just the animals themselves were visible meat, and a lot of animal skins. For a time, the entire new city was in an uproar. My God, where did they get so many cattle and horses? The Han tribe is amazing. With these cattle and horses, we can plant so much more grain. We'll never have to worry about going hungry again. A man who was driving an ox to plow the fields said excitedly, "Are you stupid? We're also members of the Han tribe now. The more cattle and horses the Han tribe has, the better our lives will be. Isn't that a good thing?" Another person holding the plow behind him chimed in. "That's right. We're also members of the Han tribe now. Oh, the chief was so wise to decide to join the Han tribe. Otherwise, we might still be using stone plows, working ourselves to death and still not being able to plant much grain. Hey, where? Do you think the chief got so many cattle and horses?" the previous man said with emotion. "How would I know? But the man leading the way with the tin crown looks familiar, like I've seen him somewhere before." Familiar? He does seem familiar. Let me think. Hey, isn't that Yu Fu, the chief of the Yu tribe, who used to come to our tribe to sell information? So he joined the Han tribe a long time ago, and now he's doing so well. Many people were talking about it, and some people, seeing so many horses, began to fantasize about the possibility of the Han tribe expanding its cavalry. They were envious of the old folks who had joined the Han tribe earlier and were enlisted in the army. Seeing their former brothers riding tall horses, they were filled with envy and jealousy. Anyone who thought they were capable wanted to give it a try. Yu Fu also quickly met you. This guy had been exposed to the wind and sun on the grassland every day, and his already tan face was now even darker. He brought his caravan to see you, greeted you with a smile, and introduced you. To the new faces in the caravan, it turned out that he had abducted more people from the grassland. "Ha, Chief. It's been so long since I left. I didn't expect so much to happen in just a few months. Our second city is already taking shape. Are all these people new members of our tribe?" Yu Fu first bowed to you, then said happily, "Yes, we encountered a demolition team of cannibals. Fortunately, the ending was good. But let's not talk about that. Come, tell me about this purchase on the grassland. Was it smooth?" You also led them into the city, found a thatched shed to sit down, and poured everyone a bowl of cold water. The trade was quite smooth. With Ling Feng, a local, around, it saved us a lot of trouble. Unlike before, when we were just wandering around aimlessly, the tribes we traded with this time were all led to us by Ling Feng, Yu Fu reported. Remembering the newly joined members, he quickly added, "By the way, Chief, these dozen or so people have also joined our Han tribe. They are all Ling Feng's friends and are in a similar situation. They met him this time, found out that Ling Feng had joined our tribe and was living a comfortable life, so they came along, planning to join us." The dozen or so people, men and women, heard Yu Fu say that the young man with the golden crown in front of them was the chief, and they also quickly got up and bowed, saying "Chief" in accented Hanyu. They probably learned it on the way, and their Hanyu proficiency was limited. You also greeted them, said a few words of welcome, and then told them to sit aside and continued to listen to Yu Fu's report. When you went out to sell goods this time, what feedback did you get from those shepherds? Did they mention anything rare they wanted? "We're not exactly close to the grasslands. It's a long journey back and forth, enough to wear holes in our feet. If we could bring more goods next time, we could trade for even more good things, right?" You gulped down a mouthful of water, feeling like an emotionless water dispenser. Yu Fu's eyes lit up and he slapped his thigh. "Chief, you're truly a fortune teller. There are things they want, but I didn't dare to promise anything casually. That's why I rushed back to report to you, my lord. Oh? What do they want that you wouldn't dare promise? Tell me, let me broaden my horizons. You thought to yourself, is there anything I can't handle these days? Well, they want a lot of things. I'll just pick out the most important ones that all the tribes want. First of all, they want our horse tack, especially the stirrups and saddles. They're drooling over them. And our ox carts. They're nomadic. Moving is like child's play for them. If they had a few big carts, wow, moving and transporting things would be so much easier and faster, better than hiring 10 laborers. And then there are our long knives. They haven't used them, but they really treasure the scissors we sold them. Metal tools, who doesn't like them? Oh, and the iron pots we brought this time, they were a huge hit. Although they were a bit expensive, they all sold out. I think we can bring more next time. I guarantee they'll sell out. Yufu counted on his fingers like a crosstalk comedian, listing each item for you. What you've said is indeed a matter of concern. Horse tack, vehicles, and ironware, these three are all treasures, and we can't just give them away casually. You stroked your chin and fell into thought. If we gave them all of this, what would we use to keep order? Oh, right, Chief, there was a bit of a snag during this trade. I'm worried that it might not be so easy for us to go to the grasslands to sell goods in the future. Yufu suddenly remembered something, and his expression instantly changed from clear skies to dark clouds. What snag? You frowned, thinking, the development momentum of the Han tribe is strong, and it's all thanks to the resources of the grasslands. If you suddenly say, it's not easy, isn't that going to kill me? This time we traded with 7 tribes in total. When we were trading with the tribe furthest southeast, something happened. We took out our bright white salt, but they didn't want it. Then I took out our exquisite pottery pots and bowls, but they still didn't want them. They did accept the iron pots and scissors, but in the end, we only got some broken animal skins and wool, and only a few cattle and horses, a pitifully small amount, like we were giving alms to beggars. They didn't want white salt and pottery. Pots and bowls? Why? That's not scientific. Are they crazy? When you heard this, you felt like your CPU was about to burn out. Your head was full of question marks, and you stared at Yufu, waiting for him to give a reasonable explanation. Yufu didn't hesitate. He took out a few items from his animal skin bag and placed them in front of you, almost scaring you out of your chair. Damn it, good heavens, what the hell is this? Yufu took out a few items and placed them on the table. The first was a yellow bamboo tube, as thick as an arm, shiny and smooth, about a dozen centimeters high, with a lid. Yufu even thoughtfully opened it for you to see, and there was something inside. You widened your eyes, like you had seen a ghost, picked up the bamboo tube and examined it carefully, then brought it to your nose and smelled it. A smell of the sea wafted out. You pinched a little and put it in your mouth, then spat it out with a tui. This is fucking sea salt. What else could it be? Before you could even utter a few holy shit exclamations, Yufu took out another item, almost making your jaw drop. Because what he took out was a shiny white metal bowl. That bowl was really big. You could wear it on your head as a helmet. And it was very round, hemispherical inside, and so smooth you could use it as a mirror. On the outside, there was an embossed picture and some scribbles that you couldn't understand. You couldn't understand the words, but you understood the picture at a glance. There were several people in the picture. One of them was holding a large bowl, with the mouth of the bowl facing the sun in the sky. One person was holding a torch in front of the bowl, and the others were kneeling on the ground, looking devout. Isn't this a picture of using sunlight to start a fire? This is what's taught in junior high school physics textbooks, using a concave mirror to face the sun. The light rays converge at one point, and the temperature is high enough to ignite things. This thing is still in use today, such as the solar stoves used by herdsmen in Tibet, and the Olympic flame. They all come from this. Let's put aside the picture of taking fire from the sky for now, and just talk about the bowl itself. It's very reflective and it's quite heavy in your hand. You bit it, leaving a tooth mark, and it's quite soft. This is a silver bowl. Definitely not produced by the Han tribe. Now, you can conclude there is a tribe near the sea. They know how to make sea salt, and bamboo grows locally, and they use bamboo as containers. And there's also a silver mine nearby. They know how to smelt metal, and judging by the quality and style of this silver bowl, their technology is quite advanced. This isn't very surprising to you. Silver is a chemically stable metal, and natural silver nuggets or silver sand exist in nature. However, most silver is still hidden in silver ore. And silver has a low melting point. Just over 960 degrees Celsius, it can melt into liquid. As long as the other party knows how to make charcoal, reaching this temperature is no problem. Maybe they even have coal mines. Remember, the Han tribe needs a high temperature of 1500 degrees to smelt copper ore. Silver has such a low melting point, it's easier for primitive people to discover and utilize it. It's very normal. So the question is, a tribe that believes in heavenly fire, they make their own sea salt, and they use bamboo tubes to store it, and they come to the grasslands to compete with us? Damn it. What the hell is going on? There's already commercial competition in primitive society. Based on this information, you can analyze that this is definitely a powerful tribe that has been developing for many years. But the leader of the other tribe is definitely not a time traveler, because the words on this silver bowl are not any kind of writing on Earth. They are more like naturally evolved oracle bone script. If the other tribe's leader was also a time traveler, would he not spread his own writing? Impossible. So this hypothesis is untenable. Therefore, to be able to develop to this level, it should have taken a long time, but it has not spread to the Han tribe. This is also normal. Who would run thousands of miles for no reason in primitive times? Even if there was something to do, how could he guarantee safe arrival? Moreover, even if he arrived safely, what if he was killed by the locals? Or what if he saw that things were good there and just stayed? These could all lead to cultural isolation, becoming a kind of paradise, not on the same civilization level as other tribes. This is actually very easy to understand. For example, the Han tribe now, its civilization can be said to be very developed. But in more distant places, those primitive tribes that have no contact with the Han tribe may not have learned to raise livestock, may not have learned to farm, and may even be eating raw meat and drinking raw blood. This is the difference in civilization levels. Because the distance is too far, culture cannot be transmitted, which is very normal. You held the silver bowl in one hand and the bamboo tube of sea salt in the other, thought for a while, and asked, Yufu, besides these, is there anything else? Yes. I used our goods to trade with that nomadic tribe for these. I just wanted to bring them back for you, Chief, to broaden your horizons, Yufu said, beckoning to his subordinates, and someone immediately brought things from the horses, a large pile of clanging things, and placed them directly in front of you. There weren't many things, but there was a wide variety. There were short bamboo tubes the same size as the bowl, which they actually used as bowls. There were also bamboo tube cups, long bamboo tubes, which were water bottles with holes drilled in them and tied with hemp rope so they could be carried on the back. It can be seen that they already know how to make hemp rope, or rather produce hemp products. There were also other large items, such as mats woven from thin bamboo strips and bamboo arrows, thin and straight, naturally grown. It seems that there are quite a few varieties of bamboo there. There was also one thing that surprised you very much: bamboo slips. Wide bamboo pieces woven with thin hemp rope with words and pictures carved on them, but you couldn't understand them. Chief, do you know what these things are? This tribe is also very powerful. They can make so many good things. And the painting on that metal bowl? I don't understand it either. It seems to be some kind of sacrifice. Their god is this bowl? Yufu asked with a confused look, hoping that the omnipotent Yu could solve his doubts. Yes, I know these things. are nothing special. I know them all. The salt inside is sea salt. In fact, you should have seen this before. It's the salt lake near the Ying tribe. When the water containing salt is dried by the sun, there will be salt. This sea salt is the same principle. But the sea is much larger than the salt lake. You can't see the edge. They should live by the sea. That's why they discovered the method of drying salt. Unlike our mineral salt, you should all have smelled this sea salt, right? That smell is the smell of seawater, you said, holding the tube of sea salt. With your explanation, those of Yufu's men who had been to the Ying tribe were suddenly enlightened and instantly felt that this sea salt was nothing magical. You took the other things and continued to explain to them. The rest of these things and this container for salt are actually a naturally growing hollow plant called bamboo. It grows thin and tall, is very strong, and is also elastic. It has many uses. You can see from these things that bamboo can basically be used to make anything. In fact, there are more uses, but the other party doesn't know how to use them yet, or they didn't bring them. It's all possible. You pointed to those things and said knowledgeably. Yufu and the others also nodded repeatedly. They originally thought these were treasures, but after hearing what you said, they felt that they were very ordinary, just a kind of plant. The Han tribe also has magical plants, such as the stinging cannibal tree, which can produce sugar and be used as a weapon. What surprised and admired them even more was that you seemed to really know everything. Just by looking at these things, you knew what they were made of, and they were things that no one had ever seen before. But regarding this, they were already used to it. Who told you to be the chief? Chief, this plant called bamboo. Is it really that useful? What else can it be used for? Can it be eaten? Can it produce grain? Yufu couldn't help but ask, looking like a curious child. It can be used to make many things, but it can't produce grain. This thing is like a forest. They grow in patches very densely, and they grow very fast. Every year, a tender shoot grows from the root, called a bamboo shoot. That thing can be eaten, but it can only be eaten as a vegetable, not as a staple. Food. You explained, feeling like you were about to become a botanist. Speaking of making things, the uses are endless. On a larger scale, it can be used to build houses and rafts, which are small boats. On a smaller scale, it can be used to make bamboo spears, bamboo lances, bamboo bows, bamboo arrows, and even bamboo shields and bamboo armor. In daily life, as you can see, it's mainly used as containers. It can also be used to make bamboo brushes and bamboo paper. In short, it can be used for anything. It's not an exaggeration to say it's a universal material. You talked incessantly, feeling like the spokesperson for bamboo. The group of people were dumbfounded, their mouths agape, wide enough to stuff an egg in. They had never seen such a scene. They didn't expect this thing called bamboo to be so awesome, capable of making so many things. You yourself also sighed. Why didn't I transmigrate to that tribe? Starting by the sea with bamboo, it's like starting in heaven. How could it be as miserable as myself, having to figure everything out on my own? Fortunately, the resources nearby are relatively abundant. Otherwise, I would have starved to death. Oh, so that's how it is. Then, Chief, what is that metal bowl made of? Our tribe doesn't seem to have this kind of metal. Compared with our bronze and steel, which one is better? Yufu pointed to the silver bowl and asked like a curious child. This metal is called silver, or you can call it silver. It's easier to smelt than our copper and iron, and a little harder than tin. The temperature required to melt silver is much lower than that of copper and iron. It's not surprising that they can smelt silver. As for comparing it with our bronze and steel, it depends on how you compare. This thing is actually very soft. You see, you can even bite a mark into it with your teeth. It's not even as hard as our bones. So this thing can only be used to make a bowl. It's even difficult to make a pot, and it's very heavy. Making weapons is impossible, and it's also very reluctant to make daily necessities. For us at present, this thing is useless. However, this thing does have a special use. It can detect poison. When silver comes into contact with something poisonous, it will change color. Of course, it's not absolute, it's not very obvious, and some poisons can't be detected. If this thing comes into contact with sulfuric acid or nitric acid, it will instantly dissolve into water. Your high-level discussion was so eloquent that it stunned the group of people. Yufu even had a look of regret on his face, probably thinking that if this silver was useful, he could trade with the other party, or even just rob them, but you don't have time to care about these things now. Yufu has finished asking. It's your turn to ask. You are now very interested in this tribe with bamboo, and you can't wait to understand their ancestors for 18 generations. Besides the things you brought back, did you find out any other useful information? For example, do they have cars? Do they know how to grow grain? Do they know how to weave cloth? Do they have any other metal products? You asked the questions you cared about most, like checking household registration. You didn't ask about breeding. This tribe is trading with the nomadic tribes on the grasslands. Even if they didn't know how to breed before, they should have learned it now. They definitely don't lack cattle, horses, and sheep. As for whether they raise other things, that's unknown. Oh, I also asked about this. They don't have cars. When they went to trade, they were all horse teams. One horse carrying 2 large baskets and some other things. Anyway, these people who came to the grassland don't have cars. As for whether their tribe has them, I don't know. They probably don't know how to weave cloth either. The nomadic tribes say that they wear animal skins or felt. They probably learned to make felt from the nomadic tribes. They probably don't have other metals. They only brought this kind of bowl to the nomadic tribes, and I heard that this bowl is not used for eating. What it's used for, I don't know. As for grain, they should have it. I heard the nomadic tribes say that they have seen those people eat something round, very dry and hard, but it can be stored for a long time. There is also a kind of yellow seed, not our rice, not wheat, and I haven't seen it either. I just heard them say it. Yufu recalled what he knew and poured it out like beans. When you heard that the other party had grain, your eyes lit up as if you had been injected with chicken blood, and you hurriedly asked Yufu, "Don't the nomadic tribes have it? Did you trade some with them?" Yufu shook his head with a look of regret on his face. He knew the importance of grain, otherwise he wouldn't have brought back wild wheat last time. But just then, one of the grassland savages Yufu brought back, this time quietly stretched out his hand, as if he wanted to say something, but he didn't dare. You saw him stretch out his hand, so you signaled him not to be afraid, and that he could say anything. The newly arrived savage saw your smile and became bolder. He took out a felt bag from his arms and handed it to you. "Chief, is this the grain you're talking about?" The young man pointed to the contents of the cloth bag and asked timidly, "When you heard this, your mood, which had been lost because you didn't get new grain seeds, was instantly ignited with the flame of hope. Could there be a surprise harvest?" You eagerly opened the cloth bag and saw several plant seeds inside. Seeing these seeds, you were so excited that your whole body trembled. 2 oval yellow balls, very dry, without artificial processing, should have just been dried, and they were also well preserved. The appearance was light yellow. They were clearly 2 soybeans, also known as yellow beans. In addition to the 2 soybeans, there were also 3 golden seeds, triangular, with a pointed end that was a little white. The whole seed looked a little flat. What else could this be but corn? Oh my God, getting 2 important crops at once. You were so excited you could hardly speak. Although there were only 2 or 3 seeds, these are seeds. As long as one plant can grow from each, there is hope. These 2 crops are too important for the current Han tribe. The staple food of the Han tribe is now rice, which can only be grown in places with a lot of water. The water consumption of wheat, corn, and soybeans is not as high as that of rice, which means that as long as these crops can be grown, the Han tribe can develop to those places that lack water. After all, having food in this era is equivalent to having everything. Rice, corn, and wheat can all be promoted as staple foods, and they can even be planted in rotation. As far as you know, many modern farmland is planted with wheat and corn in rotation. Wheat is planted in autumn and can be harvested in the summer of the following year. After harvesting wheat in summer, a season of corn can be planted, and it can be harvested in autumn. And then wheat can be planted again, repeating the cycle, endlessly. And that soybean is also a very awesome crop, rich in protein and oil. Needless to say, who hasn't eaten soybean oil in modern times? And soybeans are high-protein crops, very nutritious, and can also be used to make many soy products: soy milk, tofu now, dohua, tofu, tofu skin, fermented bean curd, dried bean curd sticks. Just thinking about these, your mouth is watering. In ancient Song dynasty, there was little meat, and ordinary people couldn't eat much meat. In that era, tofu supported the great Song dynasty. Otherwise, ordinary people would not be able to eat much high-protein food. In addition, there is another benefit of planting soybeans, that is, it can fertilize the soil. When soybeans grow, they can absorb a lot of nitrogen from the air through photosynthesis and finally gather it on the roots. Many root nodules will grow on the roots of soybeans. These root nodules are equivalent to nitrogen fertilizer. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium are needed for plant growth. Nitrogen fertilizer is not lacking. It's simply a magical item. Phosphorus can be found in animal manure, and potassium can be obtained from plant ash. Now with soybeans, perfect. You stabilized your excited mood, held these 5 seeds, and asked the newly arrived tribesman, "This is indeed the seed of grain. Where did you get it?" This I have also seen those people on the grasslands before, and I have traded with them. I used sheep to trade with them for white salt, arrow shafts, and their large baskets. These seeds were found in the large baskets I traded. They should have fallen in. I haven't seen this thing before, but since it was brought by them, it should be a good thing, right? So Aiku ate it out from the basket and put it away, thinking that I would ask other tribes what it was later, and if it was useful, maybe I could trade it for something. When the man heard your question, he didn't know much Hanyu, and now he was anxious and said a lot of their native dialect, and you didn't understand a few sentences. Fortunately, Ling Feng could understand, and took the initiative to translate for the two. "Ha ha, you did a good job. This thing is indeed very useful. It's not impossible for you to want to trade for something. Tell me, what do you want? If I can give it to you, I will definitely satisfy you," you said happily, feeling like a god of wealth. "Really, Chief? Then I want a steel knife, like Captain Yufu's. It doesn't have to be that long. A short knife is also fine." "Can you give me this, Chief?" the man asked excitedly. But he was also afraid that you would be unhappy, so he was also very careful when speaking, not daring to make excessive demands. "Yes, of course, no problem. It's just a knife. It's your reward for offering the grain seeds this time. However, you can't use this knife to do bad things. Since you have joined the Han tribe, you must live a good life in the future and contribute more to the tribe. Here, take it. This was made a few days ago, and now I'm giving it to you." Unite were overjoyed and directly took off a single-edged military knife from your waist and threw it to him. This knife was less than 20 centimeters long, with a pointed tip, a very thick spine, and 2 very deep blood grooves. The handle was made of deer antler, very beautiful and very comfortable to hold. It also had a matching cowhide sheath. You don't care about a short knife. This was equipped for Yu Ye's surveying and reconnaissance squad a few days ago, and the Han tribe doesn't have many of them. The man took the dagger and was overjoyed. He even pulled it out to look at it and quickly bowed to thank you. Other people were also envious, wishing they could also produce a few grains. A few grains of grain in exchange for such a beautiful knife. This kid is simply lucky. Why don't I have such good luck? Unexpectedly obtaining 2 very valuable crops. You were overjoyed. It's summer now. Very suitable for planting, so you are. Thinking about taking these seeds back to Hanyang City as soon as possible and cultivating them yourself to expand the planting area as soon as possible. But at this time, Yufu raised a new question. Chief, then will our trade continue? Also, if we go, what should we do when we encounter those tribes, the tribes that bought the things from the Jew tribe? Also, how should we deal with the Jew tribe? If we encounter their caravan, what should we do? This is indeed a problem. After all, it involves foreign strategy and cannot be decided rashly. Should we be friendly and develop trade with them, or be hostile? You often heard a saying in your previous life, ally with distant states while attacking those nearby, which means to befriend distant forces and be wary of neighbors close to you. However, it is not appropriate here. According to the current situation, the grassland is a big cake, and the ones dividing the cake are the Han tribe and the Jew tribe. Obviously, the Han tribe and the Jew tribe are competitors, so the result is obvious. Any obstacle to the advancement of the Han tribe is an enemy. Suppress, target, and eliminate all obstacles. Thinking of this, you glanced at everyone present. There are too many new people here, and they don't have much sense of belonging to the Han tribe, and you don't trust them. Moreover, there are too many people, and such an important matter is not suitable for these soldiers to know. So you said, let's talk about this when we get back. You have been out for so long, go home and rest for a while. Besides, even if we go out, we have to spend time preparing the goods for the next time. Come back with me first. I also need to plant these seeds as soon as possible. But Yufu still wanted to struggle a bit. The allure of the grasslands was too strong, and not going would be a real bummer. He had no idea about the calculations going on in your mind. But my ass, your little scheme is exactly the same as the Jew tribes. You think you can get their stuff, but they can't get ours. Don't forget, those guys from the grasslands roam the whole world. Maybe the Jew tribe already got their hands on our treasures from our customers, and they're discussing countermeasures with their leader right now. Your analysis left Yufu dumbfounded. This speculation made perfect sense. Why should you be able to get their treasures if they couldn't get yours? It was clear that everyone was now in the same circle, and bumping into each other was only a matter of time. Heh. You're right. I'd better go back with you, boss. It's been months since I've been home. I don't even know if my little brat will recognize his old man. By the way, boss, where's Yuye? Didn't you put him in charge of the market? Yufu scratched his head and said with a smile. That kid? He's got ants in his pants. He can't stay in one place. Just like you. I've assigned him a new task. He's out there having fun right now. I'll tell you all about it when we get back. You pointed at Yufu with a you-know-what-I-mean expression. Oh, he's out on another mission. Yeah, Xiaoye has been following me since he was a kid. He's used to being wild. He can't sit still. Hey. Speaking of his brother, Yufu's smile was incredibly simple and honest. And so, you spent another day giving instructions in the new city area, and the next day, you led Yufu and his group back to Hanyang City in a grand procession. You needed to get those newly acquired seeds planted as soon as possible. Meanwhile, in the far southwest, just as you predicted, the Jew tribe's overseas shopping team had already obtained Han tribe's goods and were rushing back home. They traveled southwest from the grasslands, crossing mountains and rivers, overcoming countless obstacles. After more than a month of arduous travel, they finally reached the end of the world in the southwest of the continent. Well, not exactly the end, since their home, an island full of bamboo, was only a dozen kilometers away. On the last day of April, as the sun set, 50 strong men, wearing bamboo hats and bare-chested, gathered by the sea. There were only reefs here, no sandy beach. The cattle and horses they had imported were grazing on a nearby hillside. The evening sea breeze was gentle, creating delicate ripples in the bay. The sunset glow reflected on the sea, coloring it a vibrant red, as if dyed. Countless seagulls were showing off their flying skills above the sea, occasionally diving into the water to catch fish, which they would swallow and later regurgitate to feed their chicks. By the shore, several men with bamboo baskets hanging from their waists were searching for oysters in the shallow water. Others stood on tall reefs, using their homemade bamboo bows and arrows to shoot at seabirds. Bew! Bew! Every time they hit a bird, a large dog would swoosh into the sea and retrieve the spoils of war. Needless to say, these dogs were also imported from the grasslands. Further up, some men had set up a large iron pot on the rocks, with a fire burning underneath. They were stewing seafood in the pot, and corn cakes were plastered around the edge, creating an incredibly appetizing aroma. "Boss, what do you think this pot is made of? We don't have this kind of metal in our area. It looks harder than our platinum, gold, and red copper. And these scissors, look how sharp they are. If they were made into weapons, wouldn't that be amazing? We might not be able to beat them." A man who was sticking corn cakes to the pot said to the leader who was trimming his nails with the scissors, "Kacha kacha. Who said we have to fight them? It's not up to us. We'll take these treasures back to the leader and let them worry about it. I don't want to fight anyway." The leader said casually, while continuing to trim his nails, "You're right. I also think we should get along with them. It would be great if we could learn their techniques. Look at the woolen cloth they make. It's amazing. They collect so much wool from the grasslands, make it into cloth, and sell it back. How many cattle and horses? Do you think they get in exchange?" The man sticking the cakes had a look of envy on his face. The leader finished trimming his nails, carefully put away the scissors, and took out a handkerchief-sized piece of woolen cloth. This was a luxury item he had exchanged for 2 jars of sea salt from a nomadic tribe. The leader of the nomadic tribe didn't have much either, only about 2 meters of the sample given by the Han tribe, and he had reluctantly cut off a small piece for him. After staring at the woolen cloth for a while, the leader, lost in thought, looked up at the setting sun and asked an older man behind him, "What day is it today? Is it Hanyang? Why hasn't the tide gone out yet?" The older man took out a roll of bamboo slips, calculated for a while, looked at the direction of the rising moon in the sky, and confirmed several times before nodding. "That's right. Today is the day of Hanyang. The tide will definitely go out tonight." "Good. Call everyone back. Let's eat and go to bed early. We'll head home at dawn tomorrow." The leader put away the woolen cloth, took out a bamboo bowl, and started to eat his meal with gusto. The others called out to each other and quickly gathered for dinner. After eating, they slumped in 2 nearby bamboo houses. These bamboo houses were their base, built here long ago, and they had plenty of food and drinks stored inside. Night fell quickly. The sea breeze became even more unruly than during the day, stirring up turbulent waves in the bay and blowing away the clouds in the sky. 2 bright moons hung in the sky, slowly merging from different directions, forming a beautiful jade ring in the air. Just then, the water in the bay also became restless, and under the seduction of the moon, a spectacular low-tide drama began. The seawater receded with a whooshing sound, and the sea level dropped visibly. In less than an hour, a road suddenly grew out of the bay, which had been a vast expanse of water, connecting the mainland with the Zhudao, more than 10 kilometers away. The originally isolated island became a peninsula because of this mysterious passage. This road was mainly made of reefs. In fact, it was an underwater highway, 3 to 4 kilometers wide and 18 kilometers long. It was relatively flat, and cattle and horses could walk on it without any problem. But as for driving, well, forget about it. This road was the lifeline connecting Zhudao to the mainland, but it was only open for business for less than a month a year. At the turn of the month, when the 2 moons in the sky merged into a ring, the seawater would recede, revealing this underwater highway. This situation would last for 2 days, and then the highway would be submerged again. In the middle of each month, the water level in the bay would rise to its highest point, and then it would start to fall again. Until the beginning of the next month, the highway would reappear for 2 days. There are 14 months in a year, so this road would appear 28 days, and the residents of Judao relied on this road to travel to the grasslands for trade. Of course, they could also build bamboo rafts to sail across the sea. After all, the narrowest part of the bay was only a dozen kilometers, and drifting across was not a problem. However, the large number of livestock they exchanged from the grasslands couldn't be transported back by bamboo raft, so they had to rely on this mysterious passage that appeared only once a month. Early the next morning, as soon as the sky began to lighten, the underwater highway was already more than a meter above the water. The Jew tribe's overseas shopping team began their journey home. They had been away for several months and were all terribly homesick. However, the road was not easy to walk on. The ground was full of uneven reefs, covered with all kinds of sticky things, making it very slippery. They could only drive the cattle and horses forward carefully, fearing they might twist their ankles or injure the animals. These cattle and horses were precious, and they were counting on them to plow the fields back home. The group walked from dawn until noon before finally reaching the land on the other side. They then rode their horses for another 2 hours before arriving at their home base, Shin tribe. Shin tribe, also known as the Three Golds tribe, as the name suggests, was rich in 3 golds, silver, gold, and red copper. Judao was quite large, about the size of Taiwan, and shaped like a long loaf of bread. The northwest end was where the underwater highway connected to the mainland, and it was also the territory of the Shin tribe. The Shin tribe wasn't the only tribe on the island. There were 6 leaders who jointly ruled it. The island had a population of nearly 80,000, and the Shin tribe accounted for more than 30,000, firmly holding the top spot on Judao. The remaining 5 tribes had a maximum population of just over 10,000, and the smallest had only 6 or 7,000 people. These 5 tribes were the Shin tribe's little brothers, or rather, vassal tribes, somewhat like a suzerain state, all listening to the Shin tribe. Of course, there was a reason for this. The Shin tribe already occupied the northwest corner of Judao. This place was not only connected to the mainland, allowing for international trade, but the entire island's treasure was also located in the northwest corner. Gold mines, silver mines, copper mines, these were a given, but most importantly, the source of life for Judao, the freshwater river, was also in the northwest. Therefore, whoever controlled the water source controlled the entire Judao. The Shin tribe had a large population, a good location, and controlled the only source of fresh water on the island. They could smelt their own metal and exchange cattle and horses, which Judao lacked, from the mainland. So, the remaining 5 tribes could only exchange metal tools or livestock for plowing from the Shin tribe. In addition, the Shin tribe had a large population, so basically whatever the Shin tribe said went, and no one dared to provoke them. These islanders mainly cultivated corn and soybeans. Most of their houses were stilt houses, built with bamboo, with people living upstairs and pigs raised below. Pigs were native to Judao and had been domesticated by the islanders into brother pig. Cattle and horses could only be imported from the mainland. There were also sheep on Judao, but they were black-haired mountain goats. Now there were also some sheep also exchanged from the grasslands. However, the number of sheep being exchanged was now very small. Sheep reproduced quickly, and with a large amount of corn stalks as feed every year, sheep on Judao had become the largest livestock after brother pig, and had even crossbred with the local mountain goats. In addition, it should be specifically mentioned that the Shin tribe only sold cattle and sheep to the other 5 tribes. Horses, as strategic resources, were all controlled by themselves. They also learned horseback archery from the grassland people and had their own cavalry, which was their trump card for maintaining dominance over Zhudao. In the second month of summer, on the afternoon of May 1st, the Shin tribe's overseas shopping team finally returned to the tribe's CBD, a small town called Qingquan Valley, which was the source of the entire island's freshwater river and the palace of the tribe's leader. The valley was densely packed with bamboo houses, inhabited by more than 4,000 people. The villagers, who had been excitedly welcoming the return of the overseas shopping team, immediately retreated upon hearing the words of the caravan leader. Some quickly took him to see the grand leader. The caravan leader was a big shot in the tribe. The villagers were both afraid to offend him and held him in high esteem. After all, it was the caravan that risked their lives to travel so far, to exchange so many good things for them. The leadership structure of the Shin tribe was not much different from other tribes. The grand leader was the boss, and also the top dog of the 6 major tribes on Zhudao. Under the leader was the council of elders, consisting of 10 elders, each in charge of a specific area. There were 3 elders in charge of smelting the 3 golds: gold, silver, and copper. 2 elders in charge of planting corn and soybeans, known as the rice and bean elders, and elders in charge of livestock elder, house building, construction elder, black technology, tool elder, leading troops into battle, military elder, and international trade, commerce elder. The Shin tribe had a clear division of labor and a strict hierarchy, reflecting the style of a large tribe. How else could they manage nearly 30,000 people? The caravan captain's position was second only to the elders, reporting directly to the commerce elder. However, after each overseas shopping trip, he had to report to the leader. This was the rule, not going over someone's head. After all, the leader was also concerned about foreign trade, as it was a major event that determined how many treasures the tribe could acquire. At the highest point of the valley, a magnificent 2-story bamboo building served as the leader's mansion. At this moment, the Shin tribe leader was sitting on the viewing balcony with a small bamboo table in front of him. He held a knife, made from a shell, and was meticulously carving bamboo slips. Just then, a guard rushed upstairs, knelt on one knee, and said with cupped hands, "Leader, the overseas shopping team has returned from the grasslands. The captain says he has urgent matters to report and is waiting outside." "Oh, they're back? Send him up quickly, take him to the living room on the 1st floor. I'll meet him there." The Shin leader was overjoyed to hear that the caravan had returned. Every time he heard about the treasures the caravan brought back, just listening to the numbers could make him happy for half a month. This time was no exception. Putting down the bamboo slips, the Shin leader quickly got up and slowly made his way to the 1st floor. In the living room, a long bamboo table was placed in the center, where the caravan captain was already waiting. Seeing the leader come down from upstairs, he quickly stood up and saluted. "Leader, we brought back a lot of cattle and horses from the grasslands this time, but we also encountered a problem. There's another tribe, possibly even more powerful than us, also selling goods and exchanging them for cattle and sheep on the grasslands. I also managed to get some of their top-notch goods." "Oh, a tribe more powerful than us? Is that so? What top-notch goods do they have? Bring them over for me to see." The Shin leader's first reaction was curiosity. He was not the first Shin leader, but in his entire life, he had never heard of a tribe more powerful than the Shin tribe, so this reaction was normal. "Leader, there are a lot of things. Should we bring them all up?" "A lot? Quick, bring them all. Up? I want to see what kind of rare treasures they have." "Yes, you guys, quickly bring everything in." The caravan captain stood up and shouted towards the door. Several team members, who had been waiting impatiently outside, immediately carried large and small packages into the bamboo building. They soon filled the long table in the living room, and then quickly exited. The dazzling array of Han goods made the Shin leader a little dizzy. From small teapots and teacups to large buckets and iron pots, everything was there, and without exception, they all bore the Made by Dahan logo. The Shin leader picked up a white porcelain teacup with a lid and held it in his hand, examining it closely as if he were looking at a lover. The teacup was as thin as a cicada's wing, with a smooth and delicate surface. There was a red seal on the bottom, with 4 red characters saying, "Made by Dahan." On the outer wall of the bowl were 2 red koi fish playing in the water. And on the other side were 4 artistic characters saying, "Ji Ching Yu Yu," abundant fortune and happiness, looking very high-end. This thing should be pottery, right? But how did they make it so delicate? How can they make it so thin, so round, and so perfect? These cups are exactly the same. And how did they make it white? Why is our pottery earth red? And these paintings on it are amazing, and they even have writing. The Shin leader held the teacup, looking shocked. "Leader, that's not all. They also make white salt, and it's whiter and purer than ours," the caravan captain said, picking out a red jar from the table. He lifted the animal skin lid, revealing the Han tribe's snowflake salt. The Shin leader was shocked again. He quickly took the jar, grabbed a handful of snowflake salt, and smelled it. It had no smell at all, and the grains were uniform, white, and delicate. It was indeed much better than their sea salt. The Shin tribe's sea salt. Sometimes you could even find small crabs the size of fingernails in it. Leader, here are also the gold tools they made. I heard those nomadic tribes say that they call this iron. These are iron scissors. They're very sharp. And these iron pots and iron spoons are used for cooking. And this iron is harder than our 3 golds. I heard they also have weapons made of iron, but they don't sell them, so I haven't seen them. The captain picked up the scissors and demonstrated to the Shin leader. The scissors closed with a snap, easily cutting off a strand of his own hair, making the Shin leader click his tongue in amazement. Scissors? This thing is quite magical. But what is this thing used for? Cutting hair? Do those sheep-herding tribes really need these scissors? The Shin leader was puzzled. This thing can cut anything, but it's mainly used to shear sheep. Shear sheep? Yes. They sell scissors to the nomadic tribes, then have them shear all the wool off the sheep, and then buy all the wool back to make something called woolen cloth. This is woolen cloth made of sheep's wool, used to make clothes. Leader, take a look, the captain explained, while also picking up the woolen cloth to show the leader. My goodness, wool can be made into this. It's so thin and light and so soft. It looks airtight, but it actually has many small holes. It must be comfortable too. Where is clothes? Is this really made of wool? The Shin leader continued to be amazed. Leader, not only is there woolen cloth, but there are also these sacks used to store things. They look like they're made using the same technique as the woolen cloth, but they're rougher. This shouldn't be made of wool. The captain continued. To show off. The Shin leader took a yellow sack and compared it with the woolen cloth, continuing to be amazed. Leader, I think we should call all the elders together now for a meeting. These are all treasures. It would be great if we could learn how to make them too. The captain, seeing the leader speechless with amazement, quickly suggested, Yes! You're right! Someone! Send my order! Immediately call all the elders here for a meeting! The Grand Leader summoned the elders for a meeting, and the messenger didn't dare to delay. He immediately rode his precious horse to summon them. Some of the elders were already living in Qingquan Valley, while others were out having fun, so they couldn't all gather on the same day. However, after hearing the news brought by the messenger, the elders who were traveling also took it seriously. They quickly handed over their work to their subordinates and returned to Qingquan Valley with the messenger, even skipping their massage to gather at the leader's place. By noon the next day, the 10 elders had gathered at the leader's bamboo house. Elders, these are the treasures that the caravan brought back from the grasslands, all made by a tribe called the Han tribe. Take a look. You are all elites in your respective fields. See if we can copy these things. The Shin leader sat on the throne and spoke to the 10 elders on both sides of the long table. The caravan captain from yesterday also sat at the end seat, ready to answer any questions from the elders. The elders also gathered around, the things on the table, researching the areas they were skilled in. Leader, this white salt is indeed better than ours, but we can also make it. If we wash our sea salt with clean water and dry it again, we should be able to make white salt with no taste. As for these fine grains like flour, we can also achieve that by grinding it a few more times. But that's too much trouble and wastes water. It's not worth it. And our villagers also like the taste of sea salt. The commerce elder, who was in charge of international trade and also salt production, was the first to speak. So the commerce elder is saying that the white salt made by the Han tribe is also sea salt. So they are also a coastal tribe, the Shin leader asked. I'm not sure, maybe? The commerce elder said uncertainly. No, leader, I heard those nomadic tribes say that the Han tribe lives in the mountains north of the grasslands. They might not be near the sea. The captain at the end of the long table interjected. Oh, a tribe living in the mountains? Are there also salts in the mountains? A group of big shots were collectively dumbfounded. They had been eating sea salt for generations and had never heard of rock salt on land, so they couldn't understand. However, there were many things they couldn't understand, and there was no need to dwell on this. So the Shin leader turned to the 3 Golds elders and asked, "What do the 3 elders think of these iron tools? How much better are they than our 3 Golds? Can you make these iron tools?" Reporting to the leader, this gold, called iron, does resemble the gray gold we've always wanted to smelt, but gray gold is too difficult to smelt. It doesn't melt even after burning for a long time, and making it into tools is even more difficult. And we haven't found any decent gray gold stones. If we want to make these iron tools, I'm afraid, it's difficult. The gold elder spoke first. These iron tools, I think they're even better than the gray gold we made. Maybe it's not the same gold after all. But these iron tools are indeed much better than our 3 Golds, not only harder but also sharper. More importantly, this iron is lighter than our 3 Golds. Making tools must be lighter and more durable. The silver elder also expressed his professional opinion. I don't understand this gold called iron either, but the hoop on this wooden bucket looks like the alloy of our yellow and white gold. But it's lighter and harder, so it's possible that they added something else to it. In short, if we want to copy it, I think it's impossible, unless we learn from them. The red copper elder concluded. So you're saying you can't handle it? The Shin leader asked disappointedly. The several elders in charge of metallurgy opened their mouths, but in the end, they couldn't say anything. They really couldn't handle it, and they couldn't quibble. The Shin leader again turned his gaze to the tool elder, waiting to hear his expert opinion. The tool elder had more to say. The department he managed was in charge of technology research and development, especially various tools, so he had a say on many things. Leader, the water buckets made by this Han tribe are truly amazing. They are all made of flat and smooth wooden boards. We don't have the right tools, and at our current level, we can't make these things. Just talking about the wooden boards using our red copper tools, it's not impossible to make such wooden boards, but it would probably take forever, so I guess the Han tribe's tools are also iron tools. And these white bowls, they should be pottery. But the clay used is definitely different. This should be a special white clay unique to the mainland. I haven't seen it here yet. Also, this woolen cloth and sack. The woolen cloth is used to make clothes for people to wear. This sack is so rough, and it's made into a bag. It's obviously used to store things, and it's woven so tightly. I think it should be used to store some small things, such as corn and soybeans. It's good for storing grain. It's much more convenient than using bamboo baskets, and it can definitely hold more grain. As for how it's made, I just pulled out a thread from the woolen cloth and looked at it. This thing should be made by first twisting the wool into thin threads and then weaving them together by hand. We also know how to do this. It's similar to how we weave bamboo mats, bamboo baskets, and bamboo hats, but this thread is too thin. It would take forever to weave a piece of cloth, so I think they should have a faster weaving method. The sack is the same, but it doesn't look like it's made of wool. It should be the skin of hemp grass, the same thing as our hemp rope, and it's also woven. If we want to make it, the sack is still possible, but it's too time-consuming. Woolen. Cloth is out of the question. We don't have scissors. How can we collect wool? Can't we just pull it directly from the sheep? We can try to make finer sacks, which is linen, but it's still too time-consuming. Just twisting it into fine threads is not an easy task. The tool elder said slowly. So, after all this talk, we still can't make anything? The Shin leader said, a little depressed. Seeing so many treasures, but they can't make any of them themselves, who wouldn't be depressed? Leader, actually, the Han tribe has another heavyweight thing, but they never sell it, so I haven't seen it, but just hearing about it is amazing. Those nomadic tribes also want it, but they don't have the chance. Just when the Shin leader was feeling depressed, the captain sitting at the end of the table spoke again, saying something that made him even more depressed. What is it that's so amazing? Tell me. Yes, leader. I heard those nomadic tribes say that the Han tribe calls it a cart. It has 4 round wheels below and a large box made of wooden boards on top. You could also say it's a house. It's very big. It can carry people and a lot of things. It needs 2 oxen to pull it in front, and it's used to pull things. It's all made of wood and metal. The Han tribe's caravans always have many of these. Ox-drawn carts, loaded with all kinds of treasures. It's very convenient to pull things, much better than our horses. It should be something like this. After speaking, the captain took out a model cart from under the table, which he had made. Last night, when he had nothing to do, the 4 wheels were made of thin bamboo strips. The axle was a piece of mud, with a circle of bamboo sticks inserted, and bamboo rings were put on the outside. These 4 wheels were connected by bamboo sticks into 2 pairs, and a bamboo board was placed on top, making it look like a flatbed cart. There was also a T-shaped bamboo stick at the front of the cart, which could be attached to an ox on each side. A group of big shots looked at this model cart, and their eyes immediately lit up. There's actually such a thing in the world? As soon as this 4-wheeled model cart was brought out, it immediately aroused the strong interest of all the big shots. You know, just this one thing. As long as it can be made, it is equivalent to a great leap forward in the transportation industry. Because they didn't have sharp iron tools, they couldn't process fine wood products at all. The most suitable metal for making tools in the Shin tribe now was only red copper. They hadn't even invented bronze yet, because they didn't have tin ore here. The only material they could easily obtain was bamboo. However, bamboo couldn't be used to make wheels, so they had never invented a cart. The transportation method of the entire Judao residents was still limited to carrying bamboo baskets on their backs, carrying bamboo baskets on poles, and using cattle and horses to carry things. The 4-wheeled ox cart in front of them undoubtedly subverted their world view. The same 2 oxen, one used to pull a cart and the other directly carrying things, which one pulls more, you can figure it out with your toes. You said that the Han tribe's caravan has several of these carts every time? Have you seen those carts? How much can they pull at once? Are they fast? The Shin leader stood up excitedly and asked several questions in a row. It was no wonder he was so excited. If they could really build such carts, whether it was transporting grain or mining, they could double the efficiency. It was simply a divine artifact. I haven't seen it. I also heard it from those nomadic tribes. I made the model according to the imagined appearance. I don't know if it's right or not, but it's probably similar to this. But my model is just a shape. Their wheels can really turn, the captain explained helplessly. Alas, it would be great if we could get a cart. Tool Elder, are you confident that you can make an ox cart according to this appearance? This thing called cart is definitely a divine artifact. If it can be made, it will be a great help to us. The Shin leader looked at the Tool Elder with a desperate look. Leader, since this cart is made of wood and metal, I think it will be difficult for us to make it. We don't have any good tools to handle wood. The key is still to need that kind of sharp iron tool, and there's not even a real thing. It's too difficult to copy. The Tool Elder also said helplessly. In fact, he was right. What limits human development has always been better tools. I don't care about that. It doesn't matter if we can't make other things. We still have our own things to make do. But this cart, you must make it. Even if it's difficult, you have to make it. You other elders must also help with all your might. And the Caravan captain, you've heard what the cart looks like. You stay and help the Tool Elder. No matter how difficult it is, you must get the cart from me, the Shin leader said firmly. His expression was like back then, when he vowed to make a mushroom cloud, making the elders so scared that they didn't dare to breathe. It's easy to say, but without the diamond, you want to take on the porcelain job. Isn't this screwing them over? However, the elders didn't dare to make a fuss. The leader had the power of life and death. If they really angered the leader, they would be finished. But just then, the Caravan captain weakly raised his hand, indicating that he had something to say. What do you want to say? Say it. Leader, I'm just a captain. I don't know how to build a cart. Also, if I stay, are we still going to stock up next month? I think it's not easy for us to build a cart behind closed doors like this. It's better to find a way to find the Han tribe's caravan next time we stock up, and find a way to buy a cart from them. It would be good to bring it back as a sample. The Shin leader thought about it and felt that he had a point. Building a cart behind closed doors. Like this, a group of people didn't even know what a cart looked like. It was indeed difficult for them. So he asked the captain, "Your idea is reasonable, but it shouldn't be that easy, right? You said to exchange for a cart with the Han tribe. Then tell me what should be used to exchange. Their things are not inferior to ours at all. Some of them we don't even have ourselves. They go to the grasslands to stock up, nothing more than looking at the cattle and horses there. What do we have that they would be interested in and would be willing to exchange a cart with you? Don't forget that they don't even give it to the nomadic tribes. What are you going to exchange with them?" the Shin leader asked. This. The captain was momentarily speechless by the question. He didn't know what the Han tribe would be interested in. Well, leader, we can use seeds to exchange for carts with them. Their tribe must also have a lot of people, and they will definitely need a lot of food to feed them. Of course, since they have sacks for storing grain, they must also have their own grain. But their grain may not be the same as ours. Our corn only needs 3 months to mature, and it can be rotated with soybeans, and at least 2 crops can be harvested a year. They must need it very much. I think they will definitely agree to exchange seeds for carts, and maybe we can even directly exchange the technology for making carts with them. Leader, what do you think? The captain couldn't answer, and the commerce elder, who was in charge of international trade, quickly stood up and suggested. Building a cart had nothing to do with him, but if his department could get a cart for the tribe as a sample, it would definitely be a great achievement, and it would definitely be beneficial to him. So he was also very concerned about this matter. What the commerce elder said makes sense. Then let's do it this way. Let your captain stay and help the tool elder build the cart. At the beginning of next month, when you go to the grasslands to stock up, the commerce elder will personally lead the team, bring more seeds, and be sure to find the Han tribe's caravan and exchange a cart with them. No, not just exchange for a cart. If there's anything else that can be exchanged, try to exchange for some as well. The Shin leader thought for a moment and immediately ordered, "Huh?" The captain and the commerce elder were shocked at the same time. One of them didn't want to stay and build a cart, and the other just wanted to give an idea, but in the end, they still screwed themselves over. What? Do you still have any questions? The Shin leader's sharp gaze swept towards the two, and there was a cold light in his eyes, as if as long as the two dared to say no, they would immediately be dragged out to feed the pigs. No problem. We'll go and prepare now. Seeing the leader's scary eyes, the two instantly chickened out. They couldn't afford to offend him. They didn't want to become pig feed because of this trivial matter. Okay, the elders should also work hard to contribute to the tribe. Now that we have such a good opportunity, we must learn more from that Han tribe and strive to make our villagers live better and better and the tribe stronger and stronger. All right, you can all go now. The Shin leader finished assigning tasks and waved his hand to chase people away. Yes, everything for the tribe. The elders also stood up and took their leave.